is one of my souvenirs from the Arctic. Can you guess what it is?
The whale tusk.
That's amazing.
That's a narwhal tusk, probably. Is that right?
I hear you.
I'm gonna let people in, guys. You ready?
Yep. Yep.
I'm saying it's a narwhal tusk. There you go. See? I'm just not as dumb Nebraskan.
Hey there, everyone.
I know shit.
Ooh.
Look at this.
Welcome.
Oh my
all.
God.
Welcome one and all.
Look at all Larry Lobo. Hey man.
Yeah, good stuff.
Jesus, look at all these humans.
Who is
Love to
that?
see that.
Alan Eder is on the beach as usual.
Yeah.
Palm tree in the background.
Yeah, baby.
Interestingly enough, I see another participant. Linda Kay is actually seems to be in the same location. You guys should meet up over there, have a cocktail. Got Ramin Cugnia over here from South Africa. Great to have you.
Bill Bondi coming to us from COVID Central.
COVID Central. Nice.
Mm.
Awesome. Well, we
This
should get
is
right down
amazing.
to it. We start a little bit late. I will just say up front here, this event is sponsored by Piano Technicians Masterclasses, who can bring you live online masterclasses from the best instructors in the world. If you want to find out more about that, just go to pianotechniciansmasterclass.com and sign up for our full library. On today's show, we have Jurgen Goering. He's a German-trained piano maker and technician based in Canada. He's the owner of Piano Forte Supply in North America, a specialty supplier of the world's finest tools, materials, and parts to piano technicians and other industry professionals. Jurgen has been tuning pianos, delivering lectures at seminars, and contributing to the piano industry for decades. We're really pleased to have you here, Jurgen. Welcome.
Yes, welcome, brother.
Oh, and I'll unmute you here, Jurgen, just a second.
Unmute, Mr.
Goering. I'll make you a co-host so we don't have to do that again. But yeah, David told me, Jurgen, while we're waiting for you, that you hold a title that sounds very exciting from like the German apprenticeship system. What was it? What was it? How is it termed, David, again?
Well, ask the principal.
Well, first of all, I would just like to have a couple of words of greetings. I'm just so tickled and honored to be here with you, Ethan and David. I've always admired the quality of technicians that you've had on your masterclass. I was blown away when I see the roster, and to all of a sudden show up here on one of your radio hours, I feel like a toddler, like a 2-year-old in a room full of standing adults, and I'm running and weaving in between their legs. That's what I feel like today. So but it's a great privilege. It's really heartwarming also to see so many colleagues here today. I see people, friends from Canada, of course, where I'm located. I see Raymond, hello to South Africa. I see David, hello to Northern England, is it, or Scotland? Anyway, UK, and I'm not sure if we have anyone from Asia or somewhere else. Anyway, it's obviously international, and I encourage you to pick up some people in South America. Come on, from Antarctica. Anyway. But yeah, here we are, and we only have an hour, and there's a lot we could talk about. A lot I'm just itching to share with you all, and so thank you.
Can I just jump in with that term here, and I'm sure David.
Well, I was. My name is obviously German. I'm of German extraction, and I had my childhood in Canada. My parents had been immigrants to Canada, and when I was 12 years old, they decided to take the family back to Germany. So I was thrown to the wolves in middle school there, and survived. And after my graduation, I decided to enter into an apprenticeship to become a piano maker. So in Germany, these apprenticeships in all different trades, they're quite regulated by the state. And in my case, it was a 3.5-year apprenticeship in a large rebuilding outfit. And the to become a piano maker in Germany, you can either do your apprenticeship in the industry, so Schimmel, Grocery, and whatever, or in a rebuilding shop, and I did the latter. I started in 19.
What's the title that you received at the end?
Klavierbauer. So that's piano maker. Piano. Yeah. So I am a licensed journeyman piano maker.
Wow.
That's amazing.
And then you at some point decided to move to Canada again, right?
Yeah, a couple of years later, the prospects or the challenges for running becoming self-employed and running your own business in Germany, it's just very constrictive and lots of red tape. And I saw lots more opportunity for myself here. So
when did you land here?
In 1986.
And did you immediately start becoming like a working piano technician?
No, I dabbled in a couple other things. I went to a local college and took some courses and was involved in aquaculture for a few years. But in 1990, I started back full-time in the piano field. And so that makes it exactly 30 years. This summer, 30 years ago, I started my piano business here. And
dude, I'm old. If you've got 30 years, you young whippersnapper, I am old. That's awesome. And so you started out where you are now, kind of British Columbia,
Yeah, always been here in this town, Nanaimo. We're on Vancouver Island. This is where we grow the big Sitka spruce trees. There's a couple of them left.
And so this is a question that's been burning inside me for years, and I've never asked it. Jurgen and I have gotten really closer than colleagues, into friends over the past, several years, right?
Yeah.
And he's one of the best men I know on the face of the earth. He's a beautiful human being. And one thing that have never asked, and I don't know why, two questions. Number one, how did you get a whole ring of clients hundreds of miles away from you up north of the Arctic Circle where you got to take a float plane or a boat or something to get there?
Yeah, I love variety. I would die if I were just in a job where I was at a desk pushing papers all day long or something. And I love to travel. I like to engage with different people. When I meet someone who is obviously from a different culture, they're just by the way they speak or their name or something, my first question is always about their background, because I'm curious, different cultures, what they, their delicious foods that they have that I haven't found out about yet, and things like this. Anyway, so I had the opportunity. My wife at the time was had been a school teacher up in the Arctic of Canada, up in northern Canada. And we went up several times to visit. She'd actually been a music teacher there. And so she knew other musicians this is in Yellowknife. That's in Arctic Canada. It's a city of about 15,000 people, which is
in the Northwest Territories, correct?
In the Northwest Territories. It's the capital of the Northwest Territories. It's the biggest city for about 3,000 miles around. And although it's only 15,000 people, it's the seat of the provincial government. It's the headquarters for the military, the judicial system, the hospital system, policing, and so there's a lot of white collar workers there. People move there from southern Canada to get good paying jobs. Wow. And of course, they are clamoring for culture that they have left behind. And so there's I found a bit of an open market there for people wanting piano services.
Wow.
So over the years, so I brought my tools and, you know, 2, 3 pianos of friends, and then word got out. And so I up to this year with the COVID related thing. By the way, just 2 words on this whole health thing. You know, I thought that yeah, I would dress up a little bit for this occasion, and I've got my special tie here. So just to honor the what's going on.
Now I get that.
Yeah.
Get it.
So anyway, so up until this year, I didn't make a trip up north. I couldn't. But up to this year, I'd been going up there once or twice a year to tune pianos, and I've made all kinds of very interesting connections and had all kinds of adventures up there. And one of the souvenirs that I brought home is right here. I don't know if you can see this. This
a giant twisty pretzel stick.
Giant pretzel stick. It weighs about 20 pounds, and it's made of solid ivory.
Wow.
And it's from a narwhal. This is a narwhal tusk.
And that's like a whale with one horn. Is that kind of what?
Yeah, these are these incredible Arctic whales. They're very elusive because scientists have tried to capture them, but as soon as they capture them, they die right away, and so they're hard to figure out. And they have mostly the males have one tooth. It's one of their front teeth that actually comes out of their lip and becomes this huge tusk. And this is not a trophy, I have to say. This is not a trophy. The Inuit people up there, they have permits and licenses to hunt for their Aboriginal food, and they're allowed to take certain small numbers of these narwhals. And by the time these guys are finished eating, there's nothing left. There's bones, and there's the tusk. And so this is
and the bones are cracked open for the marrow.
Absolutely. So anyway, it's actually a cool story. I was, when I tune up there, everyone has, you know, their northern art on the walls, and some people have some furs, you know, wolf skin or something on the wall. And I walked into this one home, and I was immediately strucken by the quality of she had a bunch of furs, like seal skins and stuff on the wall, and they were just perfect. And I asked her, where do you get these things? Oh, she said, we used to live way up on the Arctic coast. We were the only white people there. We were running the company's store the general store there. And so we made friends, and we were there for a number of years. My children were the first white children that were born there. And wow. And we were surrounded by the Inuit, and we made incredible friendships. And of course, they were all hunters. And I said, wow, do they ever get narwhal? She said, oh yeah, they get narwhal. Wow. I said, so what do they do with the tusks? She said, oh, they sell them. They don't do anything with them right there, but they sell them to another group of Inuit 100 miles down the coast who have a tradition of carving. So they create these interesting carvings. I said, oh, wow. Gee, do you still have contacts up there? Oh, yeah. Anyway, you can see where this is leading. Oh, and so anyway, through this friend of mine, I got this tusk, and it came with the official tag of with the hunter's name, where the animal was taken, signed off by the conservation officer. I actually needed an export permit to export it from northern Arctic Canada into southern Canada. Wow. So anyway, so even if my tuning expeditions to the north will eventually dry up. I've got a cool little souvenir.
So that's an amazing story, Jurgen. I love that. And just typical of, I'll bet, some insane, beautiful characters that are up there. So tell us how you got from working piano technician to working piano technician and proprietor of the best boutique tool and supply store in the world for piano technologies.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'd had my training in Germany, and when I started my business here, I was I'd still had lots of contacts to suppliers in Europe for tools and supplies, and I opened accounts with domestic suppliers here. And when I went around tuning pianos, I noticed like even the pianos were different. I came across these pianos that had name board felts that were obviously had some kind of a sticky backing on them that were flopping around everywhere. And I pulled this off and I said, where does this junk come from? Who even uses this? And then I looked at domestic supply catalogs, it self-adhesive name board felt, right? Anyway, you can tell I'm not a fan. Because anything with tape will eventually, sooner than later, fall off, and it's really not anything we should be using in pianos anywhere, in my opinion. So I had been using my European contacts for supplies for my own work, and just because that was what I was used to, and so on. And a lot of the stuff that I thought was superior to what I could find here anyway at that time. And so at some point, colleagues would say, gee, where's that? What's that? Where did you get that? Where can I get that? So I brought a couple things in for local friends and local members of our PTG chapter here. And I never had the urge to start a little business on my own until pressure kind of grew, and at some point I just had with one of the domestic suppliers, I had a very strange encounter, let's just call it, and I thought to myself, wow, anybody can give better service than that. Like, that's like the worst service in the world. And so in 2004, I started my little business on my kitchen table with chapter members around me, and it's kind of taken off in its own way. And my idea was never to compete with the big companies and the good companies that are out there, who are long established and have long lists of clients and so on. My intent was always to expand the palette at the buffet, essentially, for piano technicians, to bring in stuff that is hard to find or unavailable, to come up with tools that are just really high-end and professional. My target was always the high end of the market, and not the do-it-yourselfers and competing on price. And in retrospect, it was a very wise choice for me, because I'm really I'm really a very poor salesman, honestly. I could not close a deal if my life depended on it. But I have
you have the goods.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have something like this at my booth at a convention, and two technicians walk up, and one of them picks it up and looks over the other and goes, yeah, and they hand me their credit card, right? So professionals know and can distinguish quality, and so I didn't have to do the sales spiel. I don't have to close the deal. The deal closes itself. And it's just been really a fortunate thing for me. Also, on top of that, the area where I live, as beautiful as it is, Vancouver Island, it's prone to kind of boom and bust cycles in the economy. And I found that early on, building my tuning business, that there would be some really lean times when business was just not great. And so I was looking for something that would not have the dependency on the local or regional economy, so that I could have another column of my income, my business, that was not affected by what goes on here in my community. And now 2020 is here, and this has become more true than ever. We were all locked down for a while, and for 3 months I didn't go tuning, and I still had a cash flow through my mail order business.
Wow. So I know that there's plenty of people on this list that have gotten what I call all-star crucial tools. And 3 of them come to mind right away. The tool that you showed to do fine regulation of jack position in good pianos. You can't really do that kind of work, which is essential, without that tool. The adjustable voicing tool I use it every time I work on a piano almost. The hammer head remover from the shank is like the greatest tool for tonal. Dale Irwin taught me how to, customize the top, maybe, from note 75, someplace around that, to note 82 or 83. Usually on Steinways, it's not in a straight line. It's kind of like in a little horseshoe. The tone gets better and better. And, Jurgen was really a bit concerned that y'all would think this is an infomercial and I'm flogging this stuff. Look, this is, to me, and I said, absolutely not, straight information. I'm a best practices, I think of myself as a best practices artisanal kind of piano technician. And I think there's a lot of other men and women on this site that think of themselves in the same way. And so you want the best tools. I do. So yeah. These are some of the best tools in the world. And go ahead.
I just want to say, this is my personal opinion of tools, and it is honestly has nothing to do with the fact that I sell tools, and that is this: we have all, or at least I have, gone out and bought, the 14-piece screwdriver set for $9.99, right? And I have all, and I've probably done it twice, and I've always lived to regret it. In fact, every time, the only tool purchases that I've ever regretted and consistently regretted was when I bought a cheap tool, right? Because what happens when I buy a cheap tool? The screwdriver jumps out of the slot and jams into my finger, and I start bleeding. The screwdriver will mangle the head of the screw, and eventually the screwdriver will break or bend or pair of pliers or whatever. So it leads to personal injury, damage to the workpiece that I'm working on, and tool failure and frustration. And in the end, what happens? I go out and buy the professional expensive tool after all that. In other words, the cheap tool ends up being the expensive tool because I'm buying the expensive one and I bought the cheap one. Now I am not.
It reminds me of what Warren Buffett says about like the lottery. He says it's a tax on stupidity. And again, myself among the victims, right? But it's like cheap tool purchases are kind of a little bit of a tax.
Now, I would be the first to say, and I get people, new technicians starting out and whatnot, and they ask me, okay, well, what tools do I need? What, I want to buy this and I want to buy that. And I say, wait a minute, slow down. Figure out what do you really need right now? Don't buy, if you're just starting out learning about pianos, don't buy a $400 voicing tool, right? Get some decent wire bending pliers and a decent tuning lever and so on. And so figure out what tools you want, and then don't buy as many tools as you can. Buy the best tools you can for your budget. Because we are professionals. We're not weekend warriors. We're not do-it-yourselfers. We're professionals, and we need to invest in ourselves. And in like what we're all doing right now, we're all investing in ourselves by having these conversations, but also in our tool purchases and whatnot. Those are investments in ourselves and our business. It's going to make us better technicians, as David said, give us better results and further our business. So that's kind of my 2-minute spiel there on tools.
Ethan, what do you got for us, brother?
Yeah, so from the chat here, we got a few little comments here. We said Brent Witten is sharing something that does not leave this room. He said he spent so much at Jurgen's booth at the St. Louis convention, he was afraid to tell his wife. That actually sounds like he eventually had to, some sort of like cathartic admission or something. Brenda Ming, I love those flexible screwdrivers too. Let's see, Bruce Gibson, doesn't look like the extractor is available anymore, with a frown face. David Voice, I would like to put the question, do you see any good tools and or materials beginning to come out of China, where after all, so many pianos are made?
Great question.
To develop.
Do good tools come out of China? Is that the question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are there any good tools now coming out of China?
Well, I'm sure there are. I mean, Chinese build rockets and nuclear reactors and everything else, and they have the capability of building just as high quality stuff as anywhere in Europe or North America. The problem is that, and quite honestly, I am not currently looking for, like, let's say I have pliers that, whatever. Let's hear, whatever. Here, this is an example. These are scissors, right? I use these for cutting damper felt. And these come from Germany. I've been to the place where they make them. They are superb quality for the cost. And so I am not out there looking around for new sources that are maybe $2 cheaper or even $10 cheaper. So I'm probably the wrong person to ask if there are good tools coming from China. But I do know that there are many tools which are perfect, almost perfect, visually perfect knockoffs of old American Hale tools and so on. But I've heard of technicians telling me they had some pliers for, what was it? For key bushings or something. And they were using them and the handles just bend, right? And so they send them back to where they got them. And sure, there's a warranty. So they reach into the bin where the same one came out and they send them another one. Well, it's the same thing, right? So I'm not looking for, I have a reputation. I'm trying to build my reputation on quality, and that up to now has excluded Chinese products, quite frankly.
Got it. We got some more things from the chat here.
Good.
Let's see. Lynn Rosenfeld, to fully capitalize our business with the best tools is less than $2,000. Big deal. That's what she said.
Exactly. Exactly right, man.
Let's see. Jim Kelly, tools are an investment. Pity the fool that buys a cheap tool. Oh, rhymes. Nice. Let's see. Cy Schuster, I think people would like to hear the story of the Wurzen Belt Factory. That sounds like a nice
Oh, yeah.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. That's a big story. I'm
Right.
probably
Yeah,
not.
like
I'm
readers.
probably not the one to talk to. But you know what? If you go on YouTube, there's an amazing video. It's about a 5-minute video. Just Google Wurzen felt making, and you'll see Jack Brand
He's the guy.
walks you through the factory. There's a little, for my taste, there's a little bit not enough in the factory, and lots of yada yada with the pianos. But the yada yada with pianos is with Steingraber, so that's pretty sweet.
And Weigert felt hammers, correct?
Yeah. It's Weigert and Udo Schmidt-Steingraber and Alexander Kerstin and these giants, right? And but I can say with Jack Brand, I got in touch with Jack Brand because of these Wurzen punchings. Let me see. I just happen to have a little bag of them here. Anyway, these ones, you've probably seen them or heard of them. And it turns out that Jack Brand is Canadian. He lives in Canada, in Toronto, and he's a multi-generational felt makers and from Germany, and his company, his family decided they wanted to branch out and get a plant going in North America. So he's got a felt company in Toronto that doesn't make any piano felts. They make all kinds of other technical felts and for other craft purposes and so on. But anyway, I got talking to him on the phone about these punchings, and he started telling me the whole story, and he talked for about an hour. And then I finally said, so this piano felt, that's like a big part of your business then, isn't it? He said, well, not really. It's about 2% of our business.
Right.
But he's a piano geek.
Well, the thing is, the piano felt, he said, it's so specialized that when they develop that, it has all kinds of trickle-down effects for their entire rest of their production. They have been, by figuring out how to do this piano felt, they've been able to produce other products for the pharmaceutical industry and whatnot, which have earned them millions of dollars.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Jurgen. The first breakthrough was the wall fell down and they could have access to this particular kind of felt that grew in a particular place in what was Eastern Germany, but now is Germany. Is that correct?
Yeah. What happened was when the wall came down in 1989, and Jack's grandfather had a felt company
in Leipzig.
Just close to the Wurzen factory, and which had been expropriated during communism and whatnot. And when the wall fell down, the people who had been expropriated had the opportunity to go back to East Germany and to essentially buy back their old land and production facilities, right? In all, whether you were a farmer or whatever. But so Jack and his father went back and looked at the factory, but there was nothing left to save. It had just been let go. But down the road was the Wurzenfeld factory, and so they got involved with that company and essentially saved it from going under. Right. So anyways, but Jack and I struck it off in a pretty cool way, and then a few years later, in what year was that? Oh God, I forget. 2008, I think.
Eight or nine, yeah.
No, in 2008, there was a Canadian Piano Technicians Conference in Toronto, and I got in touch with the organizer. I said, "Listen, Jack is in Toronto. Bring him in for a seminar. He's never met any piano technicians in his life in Canada or North America. And he came there, and it was a great show, of course, with all his felt samples and whatnot. And that led to him being presented at the Grand Rapids PTG annual convention in 2009 and 2008. Anyway, and then at the next one, which was in your neck of the woods, David, it was down in California.
Yep.
That's where Jack then got introduced to Dale Irwin and all these other people. So,
and where the first idea of let's build an old style piano hammer from this felt, and that was a revolution. Now, basically,
that was already in the. I'm sorry, as I understand it, that was already in the works.
Already in the works
with Renner, between
right.
Renner and Wurtzen.
That's exactly right, and that was a huge revolution.
Yeah,
I know that Udo took off all his hammers and retrofitted every single piano in the factory, and all the pianos he controlled in Germany and France with Weichert hammers. And man, they were just a huge step up in terms of ease of fitting and ease of voicing and just incredible sustaining hammers.
Right. Well, I'm not the I'm not the hammerhead that some of you are. I see some real experts here in the crowd, and my expertise is more somewhere else. But can I deviate? Can I go somewhere completely different?
Go for it.
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay. During all this shutdown and whatnot, it's been I'm not the only one. I'm sure I had an opportunity to kind of twiddle thumbs and think about, well, what am I going to do with my time? And I've had this old piano that I've dragged around with me since my apprenticeship. Actually, I picked it up from a fellow apprentice, an old German grand, and it's called a Westermeier, which is a complete unknown company. But I love this piano, and I dragged it around, hauled it from Germany to here and back and forth and everywhere. And anyway, and it was always my dream when I retire to rebuild this thing to its former glory. So this is an 1872 piano. Jeez. but it's for 1872, it's a really interesting piano. It's really cutting edge. It has all kinds of features that today we consider highly modern. For example, the soundboard has a huge cutoff bar in the treble section. It has lots of ribs, and they're fanned out like this. They're not parallel. They're splayed out like this, and they are curved. The ribs have a curve to them, and so although the soundboard was pretty much shot, it's still, after almost 150 years, it still had crown and bearing. Yeah. Wow. And so, and then something, and it was always my dream, my retirement dream, to rebuild this. And then a couple of years ago, something kind of tragic happened in my family. My older sister died very suddenly of a brain aneurysm. She was 62 years old. And she was in perfect health. She was a long distance runner. And one morning she got up and she just fell over, and that was the end. Wow. And it really started, this is like an earthquake, right? The tremors go everywhere. And I think, wow, retirement projects sounds great, if you make it that far, and I thought, no, I have to do something. And thankfully, my wife encouraged me to, get to work, do it now, right? Don't put off these things in life that are meaningful for me. Start it now. So, with the help of some inheritance then from my sister's estate, I actually sent the piano down to California to Dale Irwin. Wow. And then I flew down and we built the soundboard and we put in a new soundboard.
Oh,
And we built it to the old specs, and then that's and I just sent the carcass down because I didn't want to deal with the action and keys and everything and cross border. Anyway, we got that all back up here, and so it's sitting in my studio. During COVID, I also converted a 4-car garage into a workshop / studio / man cave. Just a beautiful place. And it's in there now. And so now it's time to get on the action. So, and the action, it's a patented action. It's completely back-ass, we're crazy. So so you're all familiar with repetition levers, right? And whippings and what that looks like, if you can kind of picture that in your mind. So look at this. This is a piano key that has the repetition lever mounted on the key. And I'll see if I can do this. And instead of a whipping, we have an articulated hopper that moves like this.
It's a monkey man.
And I'm not sure if I can completely simulate this. Anyway, this thing kind of sits on here like this.
And what touches the knuckle? That thing on top?
This thing, the knuckle is this. The knuckle kind of goes on here like so.
Oh, wow!
Right.
Jeez.
And so anyway, it
looks alien, man. It looks trippy.
Yeah, it is. It's like Papa Geppetto made this or something. You know,
Yeah.
it's crazy. So and when I first got this piano, I was still in my apprenticeship. It took me months to even figure out how to regulate this sucker, because there's so many crazy moving little parts and adjustments and everything. So as you can see, the hammers had been redone at some point. I had these refelted, and I think they're pretty good. They're pretty hard. They need some serious voicing, but other than that, that's on my to-do list. And while I continue to do my business, run my business, and serve my clients here locally and people out there in the world, I want to pursue my own dreams, because that's what life is about. It's about, if you have a dream, you've got to chase it down and grab it and wrestle it to the ground.
That's right. Just talking about that in the phone call before this. It's a weird balance about destiny, because in one sense, you have no control whatsoever. Destiny is destiny. Yeah. Destiny is beyond us. On the other hand, if you have a dream and the will and the belief in yourself and the skills to fulfill your dream, then you can do it. It's a weird paradox. Destiny is out of your hands, and you can affect your own destiny. It's a weird paradox, but it's
right.
True.
And in my situation, what I also realized, that if I keeled over one day like my sister did, there would be these pianos standing around the corner, and someone would go, "Look at that! It doesn't even play. Look at this. It's really old." And send it to the dump, right? Like, what are you gonna?
What the hell is this guy thinking? Why is he keeping this piece of garbage around here?
Well, the thing is, as long as it's in unrestored condition, it's a liability if you pass it on to someone else, right? But if I really get this thing into top-notch condition and playing beautifully, and something happens to me, or eventually it will outlive me anyway, I can pass it on and it will be preserved, because it's not a piece of junk, right?
That's right.
And so these old instruments, we are not their owners. We're stewards, and it's up to us. It's up to me to ensure that this thing doesn't get lost, go into the dump on my watch. My responsibility. I mean, not for the Whitney Spinets or something, but this is a very old and a unique instrument, and it's been it was 100 years old before I even got it, and it's there's a lot of history there in the evolution of the piano. This played some kind of a little role. Back in between 1850 and 1890, there was a huge amount of development and evolution in piano acoustics and piano mechanics, and this happens to be one offshoot that really never went anywhere, but still it's part of the larger picture. And the more we understand those outlying branches, the more we can really grasp what it is we're working with and what we're doing.
Wow. Yeah, what a rich, incredibly historic and profound domain it is. Mm-hmm. All the people that throughout the last, 300 years have really dedicated their lives to how can this sound better? How can this feel better? Yeah. How can this play over the loud ass orchestra? How can we make this, better for the artist? Because the artist is the fountain of expression, the fountain of creativity, and the piano is the tool, is the delivery system. It's, when you think about it, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mr. Journey, anybody does anybody have a question or a comment or a reflection right now?
Yeah, we got some things. Well, nothing based on the passionate, philosophical things that have been said. I was kind of sitting back.
Oh, that's good.
My job is so easy. These guys got a lot of wonderful, magical things to say. I'll just kind of sit back and relax.
No.
But I got a few things in the chat here. Let's see here. Quick question. William Zander asked me privately, can you ask, is the hammer extraction tool available? Something you have?
Yeah. This tool is unfortunately no longer available. I've done some research, and I've found out that this tool, the guys I got this from, that this hammer extractor is built on the chassis of a different tool. Okay, different pliers. Like this pliers, what you see here, this is what they've done is they've essentially modified an existing pliers by putting in the die here and making the cutouts and whatnot. So they would buy raw castings for these other pliers and modify them, and then do the surface finish and assembly and so on. And so I've tried to hunt down the original manufacturer of the chassis of this pliers, and it's just it's very hard to make progress there. One reason being that the demand for all these tools is so tiny in comparison to many other fields, and that's where the cost comes in, right? I mean, going back to China, you can get anything made in China. The second question they'll ask you is, how many thousand do you need?
Right.
And I mean, these tools, I have this tool business and I've got a website and all this kind of, but the fact of the matter is the actual numbers that are sold are very low, comparatively speaking, to almost any other sales industry. Right?
Because it's custom. It's custom.
Yeah, exactly.
Luxury
custom.
Service.
Right. I mean, if even when I had these things and we're selling them, I don't know, was I selling 10 a year? A dozen maybe. Like these things are not. I don't send these out in 6-packs, right? And so it's just the numbers game or numbers issue.
It's just like the piano technicians. You're not going to get rich, but you're going to make some money, and you're going to have the best time you can have. You're obviously a complete geek around this area of the domainlet of the domain of piano technology and working on pianos. So, oh my God, it's a huge benefit to us, because I would never in a million years know where to buy your chopstick tool, your chopstick voicing tool, your single needle voicing tool, you know, the long thing shanked, you know, regulation tool, the pair of those pliers. I mean, my God, those are some of the greatest tools I have, along with my Falk tuning hammer.
Yeah.
You know.
So what? This is another tool. I just want to present this briefly because it's a case in point. This is a sliding weight hammer. So there's a flat tip on one side. This is essentially for seating strings or moving strings along a V-bar, right? So this weight, tap, right?
Oh, wow.
And on this end, it's got a little dimple on it, so you can just carefully tap bridge pins, tap.
Wow.
And so this is just, I mean, anybody with a drill press can make this, honestly. These tips screw off. There's another tip I have. It's a hollow tip. And I use it for tapping strings down onto bridge pins. The hollow part goes over the bridge pin, and I tap, right? And so I've tried to find someone to make these for me at some kind of a reasonable cost that I could pass on to the end user, because I think this is the cat's meow. Do you think I can find any machine shop who is willing to make a dozen of these for, you know, under $100? No. So if you have some, okay, I have blueprints for these. If someone wants to make their own, send me an email. I'll send you the blueprint. Happy to. And if someone has a source where someone can crank these out for $50 or something like that, let me know. But I've kind of given up the search because I can spend a lot of time trying to chase down sources, and there's, you know, between this and other things, there's a lot on the go, and there's only so much time I have to chase down small things. But yeah.
So we're getting close to wrapping this up.
Yeah.
Tell me what two of the most precious gifts you get from being in this world, from being a skilled piano technician.
Wow. The way you ask questions, it touches my heart, David, because my answer is relationships. You know, I've met some of the craziest people and some of the most beautiful people through my work, both tuning and servicing pianos, and also through my supply business. I just feel so very blessed. You know, as piano technicians, we work very much in isolation. We work for ourselves, and many of us are not that organized or that tight with piano technicians organizations or the PTG or wherever you might live. Raymond in South Africa, I'm not sure if you have colleagues there that you have regular exchange with or whatnot. But the fact is we work a lot in isolation. And through my supply business, I've been able to you know, meet technicians from all around the world, right? At conventions, I mean, I guess anyone can go to a convention, meet people from all around the world, but as a supplier, they kind of
magnet.
Come to me somehow a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the people there, and there are a number of people that I've met who not only have become a huge source of inspiration and mentors, but they've also become really, really dear friends of mine. And that is, if I were to say, was there one benefit from my supply business, the biggest thing I would say would be that.
Wow. That's profound and beautiful, brother.
Beautiful.
Mr. Journey, why don't you take us home?
All right. Well, thank you for that, Jurgen. I mean, yes, I'm really impressed. I mean, I had some conversations with you as one of the number of people that know you throughout the industry, but I feel like just today I'm seeing a really interesting, deeper level from hearing about your cold shower in the morning before preparing for the event. And you just seem to have such a lot of vitality and passion, which I'm really appreciating today. We put some links in the chat there. If you want to give us some feedback, both constructive and positive to help us make this better, there's a link. And there's also a link to sign up for supporting this project at $8 a month, which turns out to be like less than $2 a episode. You get access to all the recordings in one place afterwards. And in addition, just want to announce really quickly, I'm still setting up the page to kind of promote this, but we're going to try something new on Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern time, 4 p.m. Pacific. We're going to open up some of our private content to the wider audience. We're going to watch the first half hour of Boaz Kirschenbaum's lecture on voicing. And he mentions some of Jurgen's tools and shows you how to use them as well in there. And it's going to be pretty affordable to join. It's just going to be a one-time thing. We're going to put it up and then we'll take it right down, but you'll get a chance to like see what that content is about. We'll watch the half hour and then we'll take a half hour to discuss. You can sort of enjoy and relax on Wednesday evening. If you're an $8 member already, you have free access to that. And if you have any other subscription membership, you also have free access. So those are the easiest ways to get on board. But we'll also just, if you just want a one-time thing, we're going to charge $15 to show up and check that out. So everybody here is welcome to join. Easiest way to join would be that $8 a month subscription that I put in the chat. And yeah, just want to make sure I get that out there. And after putting some promotion, just thank Jurgen again for joining us. It's really been a pleasure. And I hope, you can join us again at some point to speak some more. It's been really wonderful.
This feeling of community that we have at the end of every hour. This is what, the 10th one or something like that, Ethan?
Oh yeah, we're on to like 15. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And the feeling of bonding and community and brotherhood and sisterhood. And I don't want to hype it, but it really feels like, wow, we're together in this little domain.
Yeah.
And we all have this common bond of love for music and pianos in general. And it's healing for me. It's really good. It's a tool of consciousness for me. So I want to thank you, Jurgen. Thank you so much, brother. And I want to thank everybody else from the bottom of my heart for showing up like you do and paying attention, giving us your attention and your precious time. Thanks so much, Mr. Journey.
Awesome. Well, we'll start signing off of the Facebooks and the YouTubes and everything. And Jurgen, did you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I just want to say I feel warm and fuzzy all over. And yeah, thanks for letting us go into that domain, Ethan. I know David and I, that's kind of an area that we go almost automatically sometimes, yeah. and some of the others here. And please feel free to reach out to me anytime if you have any questions about anything you've heard. Yeah, I run a business, but I am first and foremost a human being, and yeah, if there's any way I can help, please reach out to me. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Thanks so much for showing up. It's been
all right, kids.
Great.
Be cool now.
Cool. David, remember to stay on for a second on Zencastr. Same thing to you, Jurgen.
You got it.
Hop on the social networks, and then I'll end the Zoom chat in just a moment. So thank you all for joining us. We'll see you again soon. See you on Wednesday, hopefully.